There's been big changes to the NDIS recently, but what is the real impact that these changes are having on allied health businesses across Australia?
They've made cuts to what allied health providers can charge, and it only dropped 2.5 weeks before the changes had to be implemented. So as business owners, like every single allied health business owner has been frantic. It's pretty astronomical.
To hear more of these important conversations, don't forget to hit the follow or subscribe button. And don't forget to follow us over on Instagram for all the behind the scenes fun.
We care for the redundancy.
Okay, so today we are joined by Judy Scott, occupational therapist and founder of My Therapy Crew, and a strong voice for allied health professionals. Welcome, Judy, to It Takes Heart.
Thank you. I'm so glad to be here with you both.
And I'm kind of excited to have you here because you're our first OT.
Which is strange, actually.
Yes,
and
given
apologies to OT, because that's an oversight.
I know, right? We are the best professions.
Yes.
I can't believe you've left us till now.
And the fact that we've, in the first 5 minutes, Liz, we're connected to so many
Yes,
OTs
yeah,
as well.
exactly.
And we've worked with you and
Yes.
in the past as well. So there's all these connections with OT.
Yes. Yep.
But you trained as an OT. I did not. So for me and for everyone else, what is an OT? What is occupational therapy?
Because don't you think that is like no one ever knows what they do?
Yes.
And I
Yeah.
remember even starting the degree and thinking, I still don't get it.
Yeah, 100%. Do you know, the start of our degree, we actually spend the first 6 months learning to define occupational therapy.
Really?
Yeah.
I
And
must have missed those lessons.
I was like, you could have been helpful
I would
here.
have been like, I should have stayed on a bit longer.
Yeah, well, I promise you did it.
Yeah.
And even like our new grads, I've been asking them, and they still do that the first 6 months of the degree because we're still so poorly understood. I think if I was naming the profession, even though this is super wordy, I would call us activities of daily living therapists, because the way we use the word occupation is that it's every activity of daily living that you might do. And we're looking to facilitate independence and quality of life. So we want to make sure that whatever you want to do, whether it's eating a meal, sitting in a chair, going out driving, whatever it is, that you can do that as independently and safely as possible. And we look at, like, sometimes we use, alternative strategies or equipment items to do that. Sometimes we change the environment. So there's heaps and heaps of ways that we facilitate independence.
And so I guess that's across lots of settings.
I was just going to say, do you think...
I guess I probably first learned about OT was having children, and
Yes.
schools mentioned it once.
Yeah.
And I was like, how does that work? So
Yeah.
there must be lots of settings.
There's heaps of places OTs can work. It's so broad, which is part of what I think makes the profession great, because you can move, like you might start in paediatrics with kids and not really enjoy that, and so you could go into a work rehab type role, which is completely different. They even have OTs working out with people in the mines. Like it's everywhere. Heaps and heaps of different sectors. So paediatrics, aged care, hospitals. Just it's everywhere. Most people, though, won't need an OT unless they've got something significant going on, except for, say, kids doing handwriting.
Yes.
Which is the classic where, like, that's like the gateway drug to OT.
Yeah.
Right? Is that you've got a kid who needs help with handwriting.
I love it. Why did you want to become an occupational therapist? Like, you're so passionate about
Yes,
it.
I love it.
Did you go straight into OT?
I'm really lucky because, I did figure it out when I was in high school that that's the one that I would do. And weirdly, one of my friend's siblings was studying OT. So that's sort of how I heard about it. But before that, really interestingly, so I knew I wanted to work in healthcare, but I didn't know which way I was going to go. I looked at social work, was kind of talked out of that, looked at psychology, talked out of that.
Did you have
fit
influence
enough.
around you who worked in healthcare that made you want to work in healthcare?
Do you know, really unusually, no one, not really in my immediate family. My auntie was a nurse.
Yep.
And my cousin, who was older than me, was doing social work. But that was kind of it. So I didn't really understand this draw inside of me to go into healthcare. I sort of worked that out later in life as to how I landed there. Yeah.
Naturally nurturing.
Yeah. I think
what was it? What was that happened to you?
I am naturally nurturing, but the origin story for me really is that I grew up with a mum who was extremely unwell. So my mum had chronic migraines, and this isn't just where you feel a bit sick. Like, she couldn't work. She was in bed half the week. Our whole family structure was around my mum and, like, mum's migraines. I wouldn't know until I got home from school whether or not she was having a good day or a bad day. And so as I would walk in the driveway, I could tell that the blinds were down, so I knew mum's in bed. Blinds up, mum's up. Right, I only worked this out like through years of therapy. It's so funny because I love my mum. I was so, defensive and protective of her, and I never really wanted to acknowledge that her being sick had an impact on my life. And so it was as I was getting counselling. I'm a big advocate for counselling too. Go get some therapy, get some help.
But it was also your standard, right? It was your normal, so you didn't know any different.
That's exactly right.
To know that it wasn't typical.
Definitely. Like when you grow up, whatever environment we grow up in, it's normal for us.
Yeah.
But that was going through counselling helped me figure out, it's actually because I was caring for my mum. I was a young carer. Yeah. And that's how I ended up being a healthcare professional. Yeah.
Is there anything now, years on being an OT, that you think is just misunderstood, or you think, God, I wish people knew that? I wish I'd known that at uni about being an OT.
How incredible it is, like the difference that you can make in people's lives. Like I think when you go into uni, you sort of have this a bit of hope, like, I'm going to be a health professional, I'm going to be doing something meaningful. But actually, particularly in the type of field I'm in complex disability, I get to journey with people through years. Like I get to know their families, like, I don't know, their friend's uncle, like just so many people in their lives. And so it's like you actually become a part of their fabric of who they are. And it's such a privilege. I didn't really understand just how significant that was, the relationships.
How did you get to there then? If you didn't understand that would be the scope, why did you specialise
in complex disability? Yeah, that's an interesting one too, because again at uni I didn't know what part of OT I wanted to do. I didn't think I wanted to do disability, but you have to do placements. Yes. So back when I went through, we did 4 7-week placements. Yes. It's a bit different now.
Is it different now?
Yeah, they only do 2 10-week placements.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's really different.
There was so many.
Which minimises the exposure, right, of different settings.
100%.
And that was also hard too, because there were so many things you could do, but you were limited to just have a little slice of some of those experiences, and everyone wanted paediatrics.
Yes, I know. It's so strange. I think though that's because Sam and I went through the same uni just at different times. I think that's because our head of OT at the time was a paediatrics person. Yeah. That's why. Yeah, because it's changed since then a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, but anyway, we did 4 placements. I did not list disability on my placement options at all. Didn't want to do it. Had more of an interest in, paediatrics and other things.
I was like paediatrics, occupational rehab. Yeah. I did oncology, palliative care. Yeah, I really I actually really loved working in that. When I did go out and work, it was a combined role of palliative care and paediatrics.
That is
I loved the 2 ends. I don't know,
Yeah, interesting. Whereas I did 2 hospital placements out of my 4, and I hated them.
Did you?
Yep. Isn't that weird?
What did you hate about them?
To be honest, I had a bit of a tricky relationship with my first supervisor, and it's amazing how much, they call it clinical educator now, amazing how much your clinical educator impacts your experience.
Yeah. That's very true, because my first one was in palliative, and she was so amazing, and I idolised her.
Yeah. Well, similarly then my disability placement, which was the placement I didn't want, I adored my clinical educator.
So you end up, sorry, we keep jumping. Yeah. So you ended up getting then.
Yeah, I got a placement there, and loved my clinical educator, and then fell in love with the type of work where you actually get to know whole families and stakeholder groups, and so I got a job from uni in DSQ, Disability Services Queensland, and I was there for 15 years until I got made redundant. So. Yeah, it was amazing. I loved it.
So let's talk about My Therapy Crew.
Is that how My Therapy Crew started? Because you started just at home in the garage.
Yeah, in the garage, which I love when I heard that.
Yeah. Isn't that how every small business starts?
Yeah, right? I was in a front room. Yeah.
However, yes, but you weren't seeing patients coming in.
No, I did have that thought just then. I was
how does that work?
Go to the garage?
It was so insane. Look, and when I say that, our garage, we got it converted beautifully. My friend happens to be a builder, and she did a beautiful job, like converting our garage into a home office for me. So it looked nice, but yeah, it was the garage.
It's a garage, yeah.
Which is pretty crazy.
So had you been made redundant and then you made, like, or had this always been ruminating for you going, oh,
no. So I loved my work in Disability Services Queensland, and then we all had warning for about 3 years we were going to be made redundant. That's a really weird way to work, like to have a 3-year looming date.
Yeah, it's like I'm going to break up with you soon, but not yet.
But just wait.
It was
hang in there.
Yeah. It was very strange, but it was because I loved my job. It was worth it to me to stick it out to the end. Like people kind of peeled off as we went, but for me, I stayed, till the redundancies came out. And then the only way at that time, because OT wasn't the world that it is now, where now there's OTs are just in high demand and can go get a job anywhere. Yeah. That didn't exist yet then. Yeah. And the only way that I knew that I could keep working with the client group that I loved was to work for myself. And we didn't have anything like non-competes because the government was winding up. So there was nothing saying you can't work with your clients because there was nowhere for these clients to go. And I was well known in the industry in Southside Brisbane because that's where I'd been working for 15 years. Yeah, so I had heaps of people who were like my clients who were looking for a service. And so, got made redundant, went on a week-long cruise with my family and then came back. And it was amazing. I came back to so many emails and messages and requests for work. So, it was a really crazy time. So, I worked for myself. I tried to go out to clients because of the fact that it was at my home.
And did you have kids running around the house?
Yes.
Or like what phase of life was
this? Oh my goodness, because it's a few years ago now. So my oldest is now 19, but when we started the business, she was 14, but I was working for myself before that. So, they were between 8 and 13, my kids. Yeah. I've got 4 of them.
Sorry, that was a reaction. So busy.
You got that reaction.
No. Beautiful.
Are you okay? Oh my God, I feel like 3. I'm so outnumbered. I'm like forever. If everyone's got shoes on, it's a win.
Yes. Oh yeah. It's absolutely a win when everyone's got shoes on. But it was crazy. So I would have clients come into the home. I'd use my rumpus room as a therapy space. It was crazy. And then as the business grew, because we actually started in the house, so I had other therapists coming into the house.
How soon did you bring your first therapist in?
I worked for myself on my own for a year and doing some subcontracting as well. Yeah. But working on my own for a year. And then my husband is an accountant and he specialises in small business accounting.
That's convenient.
Super convenient.
Like mine, he does IT and systems. So similar that you're the opposite. You can do all the things I can't do.
Yeah, he is phenomenal.
Yeah.
And so he kept saying to me, I think we can build a business from this. Yeah. You should really seriously consider employing someone. And I was terrified of the idea. Yeah. I still remember the first phone call with someone who actually was an allied health assistant, so not an OT for the first employee, and phoning to him and talking about things like salary where I just had no clue.
I had to do that with Kate. She was our first one. I was like, I don't even have a desk for you. I don't know what to do with you. She's like, come. I was like, I don't know what to do.
Yeah, well, it's exactly like that. So I just set up a desk for him in my...
You're a clinician.
Yeah.
So you're just, you're passionate about the clients and the caseload.
Yeah. So, and then he started doing the same thing as me. Like he'd come into my home office in my converted garage and had his desk there, and then we'd go out and see clients, which I'd write up the allied health assistant plan for him, and he'd go see them. And then I did a post. It's so funny. My sister used to tease me because we used to be called My OT Crew, and so that's where we started from. And I had a page, My OT Crew, and she would just joke with me. She's like, "What? Your crew of one person?" Back when it was me.
Oh, all right. It's a vision.
Exactly.
That's still I can choose a crew.
Yeah. And I did a post, and then one of my uni friends reached out to me and she's like, "Hey, I want to know a bit about private practice." And I was like, thinking she wanted me to tell her how to run a private practice. And she's like, "No, I want to work for you." And I could not believe it in my wildest dreams that someone from my cohort would trust me enough to... They left a government job to come and work for me.
Practice,
and let me employ them. But then that started a whole new journey of figuring out how to do contracts and, oh my goodness.
What do you think it was that people saw in you to go, I want to be a part of that?
I'm naturally really passionate about the work that we do. I love the clients so much, and I think they deserve quality services. Yep. So it's probably just that.
Is it word
of
mouth, or were you very heavily on socials? Like how were you getting that
How was
message
everyone
out?
finding you?
It was the whole first 3 years of the business was just word of mouth.
Yeah.
So my first year working on my own and 3 years of the business, so 4 years altogether, we didn't pay a cent for marketing or anything. Then we got too big to kind of keep carrying. Like by then, I can't even remember. We probably had 30 therapists at that point because we've had our biggest growth in the last 2 years. But then we had to start, spending money on the Google gods, SEO, all of that sort of stuff.
What is it? The smell of an oily rag to start with, and then it gets to the point where you're like, right, we actually have to really lean in now and do some more. So today, is it like 80 staff or something now?
Yep, we've got
just
an empire.
Over how many
Brisbane
clinics?
How many clinics?
And where are you? Are you still in the garage? Are you still at home? Or have you now got an excellent games room
running around?
Can you imagine if I had 80 people in my house?
Well, should we notify the council?
So we have 80 staff or just over, and we've got 5 clinics now, which is pretty amazing.
All in Brisbane?
No, so we've got 2 to 3 are in Brisbane because we've got 2 Brisbane Southside, and then our Brisbane North is all the way up at North Lakes. So it's kind of that gateway, up to Caboolture as well. Yep. And then we have the Sunshine Coast, and we actually have a clinic in Darwin. So I've got a few OTs over there.
How did that happen?
Yeah, I was just about to say.
How did you get to Darwin?
Yeah, so with starting the business, with having... So we moved from the house to a big clinic, which was wild in itself.
Yeah, that would have been a really special moment.
So crazy. So we were up to 14 staff when we were in the house, which is crazy. Just FYI, I didn't know that was against Brisbane City Council regulations. I found that out after.
Just about to say,
I didn't know.
It's up in the kitchen,
details.
Yeah. Do you know what though? That's interesting though, because when you do start a business, you've been a clinician, and then all of a sudden you're running a private practice.
That's right.
It's a baptism of fire, and it is sometimes fake it till you make it.
Yep. No one told me. I had no idea, and then thankfully
the neighbours were like, "What is going on?" But then if you're in and out seeing clients, there's 14
there were cars everywhere.
Kids, they're just add a few friends, and
a couple of nannies.
They did. Just used to a lot of people.
Yeah, our neighbours did work it out, and it was fine. All of our relationships are good. We spoke to them and everything, but we did actually. It's so ironic. We moved into the clinic, the first clinic, and we got a letter in the mail that week from Brisbane City Council saying, "Are you running a business from home?"
You're like, no, I am not.
no, I'm in Mount Gravatt.
Yeah.
So big clinic, and then a couple of years ago, we had outgrown that and didn't know kind of what to do. We're considering, how do we do this? Because as the business owner, when I'm so invested and I love what we do so much, I didn't know if our beautiful culture would translate over a second site. So we tested it out with a small site to start with to see how that went. And then only a few months later, interestingly, I had a phone call from my mentor, and she was just in a position where she needed to stop running her own business, and she had about 10 clinics, and she asked me if we'd consider buying 3 of them. And what we decided to do, sometimes people do that and they keep the original branding. We didn't want to do that. We wanted to fully merge them into My Therapy Crew to make them our brand. Now, those sites, that was only a year ago now, and those sites have grown so much that there's only, there's a few original staff members. Most of them have stayed, which has been awesome. But they've all been indoctrinated into the MTC way, and it's
talk
very
to us
much
about that, the way culture seems to be really important to you. That's always been something we've talked about, is different sites, and how do you keep that? What is your culture, and what do you do to foster that?
Yeah, so we have really strong vision and values. Anyone who works for us could quote them for you and explain how we live them out. And so our 4 values are always learning, dependable, contributing, and nurturing. What we tried to do, because Matt and I, that's my husband, we love the business so much, as I've said, those 4 values are really us on paper. Our kids could tell you that. They're kind of the blending of our 4 styles, our styles together into those 4 values. And what I found is that if you live out rituals and routines that are connected to the values across all of the sites, then that's how you translate that
into
culture.
practice, that culture comes through.
Yeah, so all of the sites, like they've got a little bit of their own flavour, but they would all be able to testify to those values.
Yeah.
So we have in-house professional development in every single site once a fortnight, things like that. We have one of our ways of nurturing is we put on a weekly lunch for all of our staff. So every single site, that means I'm catering 80 lunches a week.
Wow.
I imagine that's pretty rare in health for someone to have that
even
sort of
not even
environment.
health, like other businesses,
or any business,
right? Like
business
it's
really,
all that
but
stuff that
particularly-
people go, it's too costly, or what's the value in it? But it's those it's those memorable moments.
That's it. Well, it's because for me, like, and I know this sounds so altruistic, but it's just part of who I am and who my husband is. Like, we really want to create a beautiful place for people to work, and that's why we invest in this way. I want their memories of their time with us to be that we made a positive impact on them, that my therapy crew made a positive impact on them.
Yeah.
That's what we're going for.
So
Very
learning,
familiar, isn't it?
I was thinking that, so lunches, what else? What are some other great things you do?
Yeah, we have very consistent supervision. So in occupational therapy, clinical supervision is really important. And we have experienced therapists. Oh, sorry, we're not just OTs now.
I was just going to say,
I was just
who
about
else is coming? And is there uni students now coming out and doing placement with you? I mean, like,
So
that's
it's not-
full circle, hey?
It's
Like,
not 80 OTs.
No, it's not.
how-
Sorry, I
yeah.
neglected kind of that step along the
That's
way.
all right.
So
Talk us through the makeup.
yeah, we have physios and speech pathologists. We have a music therapist. We have behaviour support practitioners, and we have allied health assistants, and then a really big administrative team. So all of those conversations as well at the start were so big. The first physio that I hired, like, he was somebody that I knew. I didn't know him well, but I knew him enough to have a conversation, because you've got to be really brave to be the first of your discipline to come in when it's so heavily OT based. But he's done a phenomenal job of growing our physio department. And then same with the first speechy. She was somebody I worked with back at DSQ, and she was brave enough to come over and be my first speechy and pave the way. Our music therapist actually did a placement with us, even though we didn't have any music therapists, because that's part of how their degree works. They have to do a placement in a place which doesn't have music therapy.
Right.
How else is that?
To try and create something and have a thought of where could I fit.
Yeah, absolutely.
And add value.
Yeah, so then over time, we've now run new graduate programs 3 years in a row, because I think we've got such great clinicians, and I want to keep feeding into our professions. So,
and that graduate year is so key. Like, if they've got great mentors, if they're with a great team, like, that's what keeps them really sticky to the profession. Whereas I think if it's not a great first year, that's where they're gone.
Yeah.
And are people still choosing OT, like in the same levels that they were? Is it growing? Is it declining? Where is the, people going into it?
It is so much bigger than it was when I studied.
Yeah, wow.
Like, when Sam and I went through, it's like we had 90 people.
I was just going to say, we had 90 people in the year I went through.
Really?
Yeah.
And compared to now?
Oh, now there's like 10 unis that do it in Southeast Queensland or something like that, whereas before it was on the UQ.
Why is there such you said earlier, like, there's such high demand for OTs now. Why? What's different?
Yeah, so I think it's because as OT has evolved and people can see, because it's so broad and you can see the real life application of OT in all these different spaces, it's naturally been in demand. One thing that's definitely driven it is if you've heard of the NDIS, that's been a big driver in OT, because a lot of the NDIS decisions are based off occupational therapy reports.
Right.
So talk us through NDIS. What is it? How does it interact, I guess, with you and your business?
Yeah, so
what's the role of the NDIS?
what's
Why it's
the role of it?
introduced? What does it stand for? All the people. When my mum's listening right now, like,
educate her. Yeah, I would love to. So we always talk about the NDIS, but there's two different things. So there's the NDIA, National Disability Insurance Agency, and that's actually the public service department. Those are like the government workers.
Right.
And then we commonly just say the NDIS, National Disability Insurance Scheme. But the scheme is actually the dollars. It's the money behind it.
Yep.
But everyone's just so used to just saying the NDIS.
Right.
Really, it's the NDIA that we interact with, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, so what they did, back when I was in Disability Services Queensland, all of the services for people with disability were run by the states. Okay, so every state had a different system. If you worked for the equivalent of DSQ down in New South Wales, you actually tended to work more with people with physical disabilities. In DSQ in Queensland, we worked with people with intellectual disabilities, and you had to have an IQ rating of less than 65 to be eligible. Yeah. So there were heaps of barriers for people getting services. So what they decided to do, and they wanted to make it more uniform across all of the country, is they reabsorbed all of the state funding back into federal, which is why we were all made redundant, because they had to pull that money back. Right. And then they popped it into federal and then spit out this scheme that is supposed to support people with disabilities, any kind of disability, all around the country.
Right. So was that a good thing at the time? Yeah. Or how was it? Yeah, was it received well? Problematic?
Such a complicated question.
I was just about to say that from your face. I was like...
Yeah, it's so complicated because, yes, in principle, yes, it's a good thing. Absolutely. So many more people are eligible for services now. We, in the state government, it was so difficult because there were people that would only just miss out on being eligible for a service for us. And if there was no non-government option for them, they just wouldn't get a service. They wouldn't receive support and help.
And so is this about people being able to pay for the service or even accessing if they chose to fund it themselves? Was that an option, or this is even to be acknowledged in the service?
So anyone can pay for services like our business. For instance, we would see anyone, whether they're... Back then, there weren't really private services. Yeah. So there might have been small therapy companies, or people would go see physios. Physios have always seen provided mainstream services. But, it would just be a mum who wanted to get assistance for handwriting for their kid. It wasn't the way it is now. Really, the NDIS provides funding for people to receive services, and they have their own plans. So where before in state government it was block funded, so I was attached to a house. I was the OT for a region, depending on what team I was in. So if you were in this region, you had no choice about the matter. Judy Scott was your OT. You know. Okay. Whereas now people get their own funding plans and they choose where they get their services from.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So has that lifted the quality of services too, because people are opting to choose their provider?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. It definitely relies on the provider having strong ethics, which I'm proud to say we do. Yeah. We want to provide a good service. We want quality clinicians, which is why, we invest so much in professional development and supervision, because I want to be confident. It's one of my career objectives to provide quality clinical services to people with a disability. Yeah. So I want to be sure that the therapists I'm sending out who are representing MTC are doing a great job. Yeah. But it's just totally transformed the system. So even more than just making us provide better services, it's just completely different because now you have all of these private practices all around the place.
Yep. Yeah. So there's a lot of private practice then has evolved and popped up in recent years.
In the 5 years we've been in business, and the 7 years since the NDIS came in, astronomical growth. Yeah. So some providers were out there before, but because the services, back when I started working on my own even, I had so many referrals. I was just working all the time because I was the person taking the phone call from somebody, and I love people with disabilities. Yeah. So I couldn't say no. Yeah. So I just would work, endless hours because I wanted to fulfill this need. Yeah. So it's just been astronomical. And then with the way the NDIS works they brought in these things called functional capacity assessments, which OTs write. And then they it's like they legislated it. You have to have a current FCA to be able to, if you need a change in housing in the NDIS. So there's all of these...
all this work's being created.
Just heaps and heaps of work.
But then has there been some changes, though, to the NDIS recently?
Yes.
What are those changes?
What does it mean?
And what do they mean? Yeah, Was it broken or...
Well, I think what people see, and it's fair, is that the NDIS, it does cost the Australian taxpayer a lot of money, and I appreciate that. So they decided to try and reduce the cost to the taxpayer, but the focus that they've taken is they've actually they've made cuts to what allied health providers can charge. This has a massive impact on the allied health industry. So what they did is they said for travel, when you're travelling to a client, you can now only charge half your normal rate. In our type of work, when you're working with people with complex disabilities, we have to travel to their homes. Like, yes, we have 5 clinics. Our clinics are beautiful. We have some clients who can come in, but for many, many clients, like, that's just not the way they can receive services.
Yep.
And what do you think is the idea behind that? It's a very specific cut, isn't it, of travel?
Yeah.
Is it just an idea to help with funding?
Honestly, like what I have heard is it's like somebody just threw that around as an idea in a room.
It almost feels like the reverse is needed because they can't
Absolutely.
access.
Yeah, and in the NDIS, all of their online stuff that you can research yourself, they actually acknowledge that therapy in the natural environment is best for people. So it's ironic because they say this in one way, but then they tell us, you can't. If you travel to people's houses, you're only going to be able to charge half the rate, which for a business is completely unsustainable. Yeah. It's had a massive impact on businesses. I think they just wanted to squeeze allied health because by nature, and this is me speaking as, an OT, by nature we're caring people and they're just going to keep going. No matter how hard we make this, they will keep going because we love the clients. Rather than finding other ways that they could have addressed issues in the scheme. They also, most insultingly, they lowered some rates. So they lowered the charge out rate for a physiotherapist by $10 an hour. And I just think anyone with any kind of understanding of business would know this is going to have a huge impact on all of these providers.
Yeah. Are they not seeing it as a valuable, is it a nice to have service versus a need to have, is it?
Yeah, I can't make sense of it because within the way the NDIS is set up, they're reliant on work from the allied health professionals. Like we're the only part of the scheme that actually focuses properly on capacity building, so trying to increase a person's independence. And they're reliant on us, like we're the ones who write all the reports to get the person wheelchairs or whatever it is they need. You have to do all of those trials in home or in the community. You just simply can't do it in the clinic. You can't mimic, you can't assess it properly. If I just did it in the clinic, I kid you not, the NDIS would write back to me and say, where is your evidence that this is going to work in their home? So I honestly think it was just so short-sighted. It must have been. When the original price guide dropped earlier in June, it was so funny because the one that came online actually had errors in it. It had all of these red lines and errors in it. And we're like, somebody has done this so hastily.
This is still the draft.
It's still in draft form. And it only dropped 2.5 weeks before the changes had to be implemented. Wow. So as business owners, like every single allied health business owner has been frantic. So we've been frantically advocating. So if you go on my Facebook page, which I made public, which I never do, there's all of these videos of me just trying to explain what's going on to get people on board to sign the petition. And then we also had to pivot and change our whole business models, and we had to communicate those changes to our clients. So I had to pay, love to do it, but I had to pay my admin staff over time to communicate changes to clients for something that was going to cost us money.
And what's the impact of that been for you and
your business? Because
when did you have feedback?
Just recently.
This only happened,
just been the end of financial year.
Yes, that's right. It was the end of last financial year, so it dropped 2.5 weeks before 1 July, and we had to have it ready on 1 July, and it's it's about a month now. So it's pretty astronomical.
So I'm sure clients would respond.
Yes.
How's that been?
Well, for us, thankfully, with the way that we had set up our business, we hadn't actually pulled every lever that we could. So we just had to quickly make 2 or 3 changes, things we never on-charged to clients before, we now have to on-charge. So we previously didn't on-charge a mileage fee. Because we were happy to absorb that, and we could absorb that before. We can't absorb that now. So that gets on charge to the client. And we also used to absorb all of our preparation time for seeing them. We can't do that anymore. So that all gets on charge to the client. We never previously charged components of return travel. We only charged return travel in really isolated circumstances. So we didn't charge that before, and now we're on charging that like everywhere we possibly can, which it doesn't feel nice. But to stay in business, we have to do this.
And that is for your clients, right?
Yes.
It's not even to stay in business for me, it's to stay in business for the community.
For the customer.
Exactly. They will have no services. And there are already numerous allied health providers who are closing. And there are others where I've seen they've had to make people redundant, and even others where I've seen they're negotiating conversations with their staff and lowering salaries, which is just awful.
And that's already in such a short period of time.
And you mentioned there about physio rates dropping.
Rates.
Yep.
What's happening with pay rates across the board? If this is happening and people are having to ask staff to get paid less, what's actually happening in the awards?
Well, the awards are actually going up, which I don't understand it. I don't. Honestly, I think it's like the government. They just, anyway, they don't talk to each other. Or I don't know. It boggles my mind that one part of the government is saying you need to pay your staff more, and then the other part of it is reducing our ability to get the income that we need to be able to do that.
Is that going to then lead to a move from staff from private practice who work in the NDIS wanting to then go to government roles?
Yeah,
is that what's going to happen? We'll see a swing there.
Yeah, so we, thankfully at MTC, because, my husband's an accountant and all the things, we are stable. And like I said, we've pivoted and made the changes. We've reassured our staff that, we are fine. But some people just can't cope with it. And I've already had a couple of people leave to go to government jobs, which honestly, I completely get it. Because
especially if they've got friends in other practices who are being made redundant or, you know, it's that fear, right? And the cost of living now is just so crazy. People want that stability.
That's right. And I really do appreciate it. So we try and do everything we can. Yeah. We absorb as much as we can personally to make sure that we've got what we need to pay our staff appropriately and, provide for them in all the other ways. But there's so many shifts in the sector now, and bigger companies are buying up smaller providers as well, which is... I know some of these bigger company owners, and I get it because they're seeing a great
opportunity.
Opportunity,
great, we can absorb those smaller businesses. And
at least then people still have the opportunity to retain a job and also for the clients to receive services. But because people are going to start transitioning more to government jobs or leaving the sector, I've had people as well leave altogether.
I'm done.
Don't want to be a therapist anymore because the stress is too much. We will see that there are fewer therapists available. We found just in the last month, our referral rate, through no changes in our marketing, our referrals have increased by 25%.
Wow.
And I would love that to be due to our awesome reputation, but it's not.
It is a little bit.
It's because other people are closing their doors and not travelling. I was speaking to one of my contacts who does vehicle modifications, and he was telling me he used to have at least 2 OTs come in a day to do with vehicle mods, and he's had 1 in the past month because people aren't travelling anymore. So everyone's trying to convert to telehealth and remote ways of working. We made a decision as a business that we were going to minimise that. We wanted our therapists to still be able to go out face-to-face because we know that's the better way to practice. So, we've definitely made some changes, but we're doing what we can to still service the clients.
Is that, you talked about some of the challenges there with award rates. Is there other challenges that allied health is facing right now other than those? I mean, they're 2 big ones, but is there anything else?
In our particular world of NDIS, the really big one is the frustration around dealing with the agency itself. So as I mentioned, we do all, as an OT, we do all the trials and things for wheelchairs and write up reports. And consistently we find that they don't read our reports properly. They've even admitted it themselves, the previous CEO admitted that reports don't get read that we write. And yet if we don't write them in this copious amount of detail, they undoubtedly will come back to us asking for more information. So I think that's the biggest thing, feeling like we have to become report writers for the sake of compliance rather than actually doing hands-on therapy with clients. We would much rather save that money from the plan for us. Once we've got the wheelchair, let's go test it out in all the environments and make sure that you're really comfortable.
Got it well set up. Exactly right. Are you comfortable?
All of that. But we have to use so much of the funding. I'm not kidding. My most recent wheelchair report application was over 30 pages. And that's me just using the NDIS template I have to use.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Okay. And my home mods one was over 40.
Oh, my goodness.
Is there, with advancements of AI, is that going to help the report writing and,
possibly
is there
in
a
some
place
ways.
for tech?
Yes. We use AI for other things. Like if I was creating a visual schedule for a client, there's cool ways you can use AI for that. With the reports, it's difficult because we need to be able to use our clinical reasoning and justification. And so AI can't really yet replace that, our ability to see the person in their environment doing their occupation and explaining that. I think eventually, there is some assistance coming for note writing, which will be awesome. As therapists, we still have a responsibility to make sure those notes accurately represent the client. But we haven't invested in it too heavily yet at MTC, but looking into it at the moment.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, that ability to clinically reason, you don't want that to be replaced.
That's
because then where do we go?
Yes.
Yep. I don't think it could. So what's the answer? What
are the
very
opportunities
vocal for the industry?
What's the change that could actually set this off in a better direction?
I think if the government would meaningfully engage with our peak bodies, so our OTA.
Are you part of OT Australia?
Yeah.
So you're going to be the president one day? You are, aren't you?
Maybe. We'll see.
Are you on the council?
No, I'm not. I'm not. I've thought about it.
I feel like you should be. Yeah. Because are you
Thanks.
practicing clinically?
Yeah, I still do, only with a few clients, but that's just because of I've got a few clients I really love, and there's a couple of clients in particular I'll never give up. They'll have to pull me away.
That must be great for the team though to see that too. That probably really adds to the culture.
I hope so. I get that feedback from the seniors and leads that they think it's really meaningful that I still practice. The main reason though why I still practice is because I just love it. I can't turn that part of me off completely. I think in terms of the answer, the government needs to engage meaningfully with our peak bodies because they made this change with no consultation. And just the fact alone that we had 2.5 weeks to implement it, it just seems so cruel to me.
Yeah, it's a huge change for such a short period with no consultation.
Absolutely massive.
Especially because as a body, you might have had some really great ideas in terms
Exactly.
of other ways that they could equally get the cost savings
Definitely.
and efficiency.
If they would streamline, the report templates we have to use for different pieces of, applications to the NDIS, so much of that could be streamlined. If we could be talking to a real therapist. There are therapists who work in the NDIS, but none of them have that in their title. It's very hidden. So, you never know. You could be dealing with a planner who used to do sales, or you might be dealing with a therapist. You would never know. If we actually had a contact in the NDIS who was a therapist, who was, engaging with us meaningfully about our applications and getting some more consistency. I think back to the old applications we did back in Medical Aid Subsidy Scheme, which was the Queensland government one.
I remember that.
It's
They're
so
a
funny.
lot shorter too from what you just described.
They were so much shorter. And it's just so funny now looking back because I used to get frustrated with dealing with maths and now it's like, oh my gosh, bring back maths.
Isn't that funny though? I would have just assumed that there were therapists sitting in that space and but actually dedicated therapists as consultation. I just assumed that would be a thing.
You would think so. If I was setting up the NDIS, I would set it up like that. But it's not set up like that. It's set up as an insurance scheme, which ironically, most of our clients, over 60% of them have intellectual disabilities or autism. These are not people that are going to get better. So it's the whole premise of the scheme is set up based on, somebody perhaps who has a physical disability who might end up independent and not needing support with the right equipment in place or whatever.
Sort of rehabilitating.
Yes, that is not the bulk of the clients who access the scheme is not that type. So I think they made some fundamental errors when they set it up originally.
It's tricky. So today we're going to be donating to a charity of your choice. Where can we be doing that for?
That is so generous of you. Thank you. It's a really kind thing to do.
It's the least. It's just, and also too, it's an opportunity to shine a light, right? Some of the charities are charities we've never heard of, so just to give them a moment.
Well, I'm curious as to if you've heard of the one I've chosen. So I've chosen the Darwin Children's Christmas Party.
No. Tell us about it. I love this.
So this is amazing. This is obviously a charity based in Darwin. Darwin for me, it's so close to my heart because it's like an accidental baby, that you didn't know you were going to get and then you just love it. Because
that's
it wasn't
you.
for me.
I was going to say something else, but anyway.
I really love Darwin and the work that our team do over there is phenomenal. Anyway, last year they volunteered because each of our clinics we had them do a different charity as part of our Christmas thing, Christmas giving, and they volunteered at the Darwin Children's Christmas Party. And what it is, it's a gathering for children aged 0 to 12 who have complex disabilities or some kind of complex social background, and they have Santa come and give presents and look after them and treat them to a beautiful Christmas. Children that otherwise might not have had such a thing.
Yeah. That is incredible.
So I'd love to
Great to learn about.
Oh, yeah, we would absolutely love that.
Thank you.
We've done a few over the years just internally here with some of, there was one in Brisbane, the Variety Children's Christmas Party, similar thing, and it was just so special being able to give back and, create Christmas for families. So
absolutely. Well, I was very proud of our Darwin crew last year when they
That's a great choice.
There.
I love it. Judy, thank you. I have just so enjoyed this, and I think learning, like we've learned about what an OT is. Maybe I should go back because it sounds like it's a little bit better. Maybe I tapped out too soon. I don't know. NDIS too. Like there's just so much unknown. So even just to understand that a little bit better and understand the challenges, for the allied health workforce. So I really hope that there's some change. I dare say it'll take a little while for you all, but get on OT Australia. You're such an advocate, and how lucky your team are to have you as founder for that business. It's beautiful to hear about how values-led My Therapy Crew is. Amazing.
Thank you. Well, it's been such an honour being here. Thanks for having me.
We care for the land and sea.
We acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land of which we meet, who for centuries have shared ancient methods of healing and cared for their communities. We pay our respects to elders past and present.